Welcome back to EDS, and in this video we're going to look at how you can write your own options contracts specifically on futures, and what the significance of writing options contracts on futures is as opposed to just standard equities. So without further ado, the first thing that we want to have a look at is a list of futures instruments that have options available on them. So if you're using tastytrade, that's the broker that I'm using, you can get a full list. You go to the futures section and then futures with options. Now this is a list of all of the futures instruments that have options available on them. Now, what I like to do is rank everything from the highest IVR down to the least. And this then allows us to see where the volatility is essentially. So as we can see, copper futures has an IV rank of 100. Gold has an IV rank of 69.5, and so on and so forth. We can just keep going down the list all the way down to the E-mini at 17.1, which is pretty bad. So we're definitely going to stay away from everything in the bottom half of this list, and we're just going to be looking at the top half. So what is the significance of futures options? Now, with futures, the buying power requirement for your positions is based on a different calculation than what's used when calculating the buying power requirement for equities positions. So for equities, it's just a pretty standard formula that's used across all equities. It's the same formula, but with futures, there's something called span margin. Now, span margin takes into account the size of the instrument itself, the size of the futures contract itself. It takes into account the volatility of that specific instrument, and it also takes into account the other positions that are in your portfolio. And all of these things put together means that you can put on a position with futures options, collecting a similar amount of premium as you could with the equities position. However, the amount of buying power required is typically going to be a lot less. So it's much more capital efficient, and that's why we like to use futures. So, for example, we could take a look at the copper futures here. So let's just go to the 62-day expiration, and let's just say we want to have a look at the 16 delta strikes. So we've got a 16 delta call, we'll do a 16 delta put. So this is now a 16 delta strangle. Okay, so as you can see here, you need just under $4,000 in buying power, and you'll be able to collect a upfront premium of just under 2K. If you are familiar with strangles, this is a very high return on capital trade for a strangle. So if we were to look at, let's just say if we were to look at SPY, I know it's not a like for like comparison, but the difference is so large. I just want to make this point very, very clear. So let's say we go to an 18 strangle. We're collecting, just under $600, and we're using just under $9,000 in buying power. So it's a huge difference. I know it's not a like for like example, but just highlighting the difference here in how margin is calculated. So if you go back to the futures list, so that was copper. So if you go back to copper here, we can see this is a 16 delta strangle. Okay, now what happens if we actually widen our strike? So let's say we go down to a 6 delta strike as opposed to a 16 delta on both sides. So let's do the same thing on this side. Take this down to a 6 delta. Now, one thing you would have noticed is the buying power required has changed. The buying power required has dropped. The amount of premium that we collect has dropped, but the amount of buying power required has also dropped, because the way that the margin is calculated, it's not a linear equation. the broker knows that the likelihood of something going wrong at a 6 delta on a 6 delta strangle is a lot less likely than with a 16 delta strangle, and that's reflected in the buying power required, and that's why futures is so powerful. So let's say, for example, you have a small account. Okay, let's say if you have a small account, currencies are usually quite good for smaller accounts. So this is the British pound futures, and we've got an IB rank of 71.9, which is very good. So let's just take a look at the chart. We can see here that IV is currently on the way up. It's been a bit sporadic, and it's had a nice move upwards. So all looks well here. So once we've pulled up our options chain here, we want to have a look at, obviously, which expiration is closest to 45 days. So we're in a bit of a tricky situation here because we've got 38 and 73 days. Either one will be fine. So let's just go to the 38-day action. So we would just put on a 16 delta strangle. There isn't a 16 delta on the call side, so we'll go with 17. And then on the put side again, same story there. We go 17.7 delta on both sides. So we can collect here a profit of $350, and we only need to lock up about 1.3k in buying power. So it's pretty good, and we've got a probability of profit of 73%. Now, one thing that I wanted to highlight is the flexibility of futures. So we can just put this position on as is and it will be completely fine. There'll be no issues with that. However, I just want to show you all something. So we're going to be bringing in $360 and we're going to be putting up 1.3. Okay, so if we just go a bit further out and add more theta onto the contract, let's say we go to December 6th, which is 101 days to expiration, right? And instead of the 16 delta, we go to a 6 delta on the call side and then a 6 delta again on the put side. So what we can see here, we had a situation where before in the last example, we would have had to put up $1,300. In this example, we only need to put up $580. We could collect just under $200 up front, but we only need to put up about $580. So the numbers aren't that different. However, this would be a trade that you can put on in even a small portfolio, with even a portfolio of say $5,000 to $10,000. And because obviously the deltas are much lower, you have a very high probability of profit. We're looking at 88% here, and that's before managing early, etc. So as we can see here, futures allows great flexibility. So if you have a larger account, you can be more aggressive and just take advantage of the higher capital efficiency with futures. If you have a smaller account, you can again take advantage of the capital efficiency and push your strikes out a bit further out and then reduce your buying power requirement on entry. So just wanted to make that video and highlight the flexibility of futures and how important it is, especially when growing smaller accounts. We have actually got a futures position on the Euro futures. It is a strangle with 101 days left till expiration. Very, very high probability trade. We're looking at over 90% probability of profit on that trade. That's before managing early. So pretty confident about that trade. And yeah, that's going to be everything that we needed to go over in terms of for futures. When you are putting these positions on, you still need to adhere to the correct position sizing. Just because a trade is high probability, it doesn't mean that you can violate any position sizing rules. So what we've got is a position sizing template. What this allows you to do is you can just put in the size of your portfolio. Say if it's $12,500, let's just say the VIX is at 18.26 or 29 even. Everything below will be then automatically calculated for you, and you can use this as the backbone of your portfolio. And you can use this to see how you should best structure your portfolio moving forwards. You can get yourself a copy of this for free inside the EDS Premium group. So what is EDS Premium? It's essentially a Discord group, private Discord group that allows you access to all of our portfolios, both small and large. You can copy our positions as soon as we put them on. Whilst you're copying our positions, you can go through our full course that we've put together, and that's going to make you self-sufficient within about 6 months to a year, provided that you're also copying live positions at the same time. So you'll be learning and earning. If that wasn't enough, then you've also got access to the private community where you can speak directly to myself and other traders and ask for specific advice or help on your positions or portfolio. If you're not convinced, then there is a 100% money back guarantee. So go through our trades for a full 6 months, go through the full course. If you haven't been profitable, then we'll work with you for free until you are profitable, or you can request a full refund. So for you, it's completely risk free. Right now, it's £1 a month. The price is going to increase for every 5 members that join. Whatever price you get in at, you are locked in at that price. So you are rewarded for joining early. Even if there are price increases after you've joined, you will be locked in at the lower price, whatever price level you signed up at. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the Discord. And if you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments section. And the link to the EDS Premium Discord group will be in the description. Take care.